Okay, everybody. So for today's solo episode, I'm going to talk about a topic that I feel is a really important one and one that has hit home to me a little bit personally, and that is why your autoimmune disorder isn't healing and what to do about it. And I want to start by pointing out that if you feel like you hear kind of scratchy throat from me a little bit, you know, or any kind of, anything like that, it's basically just dealing, with some ongoing allergies. There's no kind of, crying, emotional, anything else going on like that. I'm completely fine. It's just, some kind of an allergy thing that I'm trying to figure out, currently working with a combination of different things to try to get to the bottom of it, but, had to record the episodes in the meantime. So hopefully you still feel that the content is helpful, and yeah, just wanted to address that just in case you noticed that, because I've had a few comments on some of my more recent episodes that were solo episodes of people noticing that. When I obviously do interviews with people, it doesn't come out as much just because I'm not talking as much. And, sometimes the strain on the voice can be a little something. But anyhow, so I feel like this is an important topic to address because, a lot of times we go through the motions, we feel like we're doing all the right things, and yet our autoimmune condition still doesn't seem to be healing. Or maybe we are making progress, but we feel like we're not making the kind of progress that we feel like we should be. Or maybe we feel like we're making progress in the autoimmune area, but then we have other kinds of health challenges that come up and present itself, like, with me and my allergies at the moment, which can, be connected to autoimmunity and things like that. And that's a whole topic for another day. But, you're just like, grr, you're just a little bit frustrated. And so, some of the things that maybe you've tried is you've cut out gluten, you've cut out sugar, you've tried every supplement under the sun, you've seen doctors, maybe even specialists, you've gone to functional medicine, done functional labs, coaches, maybe even tried energy healing, acupuncture, all these different things, but still you're exhausted, you're in pain, you're frustrated, you still have allergies, you still get sick more than you would like to, and you're starting to lose hope. So let's start by shifting that a little bit today. And here are some of the things for you to think about. So the first thing I want you to think about is that healing isn't just physical, it's emotional and energetic too. And this is one of the things that I am working on when it comes to my allergies, working on doing a couple different things when it comes to like the energy medicine realm and some of the energetic type things to help, with that kind of thing. And so if you're only focusing on food supplements and medication, you're missing 2/3 of your healing equation. Autoimmunity is deeply tied to unresolved emotional stress, stored trauma, and nervous system deregulation. And I actually have a lot of guests that have talked about different aspects of this. So if you haven't listened to some of these, I highly recommend that you go back and check some of those out. And know that your body may literally be stuck in fight or flight mode and making healing impossible. So a couple of different healing tips in this area for you to consider. You can start journaling about your childhood experiences, major life stressors, or moments that felt unsafe or unprocessed. And try breath work and meditation. I have a couple of really good expert interviews specifically on breath work, including even a couple ones that have given you some specific routines and exercises to work on. You can also go to YouTube and find some different videos to help you with that kind of thing. Something like EFT tapping and different kinds of movement, things like maybe even Pilates. Have an interview expert with Pilates that has come out now as well on that. Things like there's different devices. So like one of the things that I'm using is called a T-zone machine, which is kind of a vibration type thing that involves like your nervous and your lymphatic system and things like that. So that's something to consider, just taking a look at some of your different options for more like your nervous system and your emotions and that kind of thing. Then the second thing to think about is that you're treating symptoms and not root causes. So doctors often focus on lab work and symptom management, but root cause healing asks deeper questions. So some of the questions that they may ask may be things like, what's triggering your immune system in the first place? And you can journal about that as well. That could help too. Are you dealing with mold exposure? And even if you think you aren't dealing with it, I tell you there's a lot more mold out there than you might realize. And I have two specific different interviews that are already out that talk about mold. So if you haven't listened to those, that's something else to go back and take a look at. And what about gut infections? Do you have an actual infection in your gut? Do you have viral overload? Do you have parasites? You need to do a detox. So that's another thing I'm working on right now. I'm in the middle of doing a detox at the moment for parasites specifically. And are you dealing with things in your environment, like your skincare? I have a whole big episode on that. Or your water. In other words, just kind of try to think of some of the other things that you may need to deal with, and working with some kind of a functional or integrative practitioner or somebody who does like kinesiology, like muscle testing or different kinds of some of the energy stuff can definitely help as well to dig deeper beyond some of the things you may have already thought of. And then the third reason that you may not be healing your autoimmune condition at the moment is that you haven't addressed your gut health, even if you think you have. And I know that this has hit home for me as well too, starting to realize I've addressed a lot of my gut health with probiotics and some essential oils and, giving up gluten, dairy, sugar, some of those kinds of things. But I feel like a lot of it has still been a little bit surfacey, and I haven't really gone as deep with the gut health as I really know that I need to. So a couple things to think about: is your gut actually healing? Because it can be more complicated than a lot of us think. And so a couple questions to ask yourself and figure this out is, do you still feel bloated after meals? Do you alternate between constipation and diarrhea? And have you been tested for leaky gut candida and parasites? And know that your immune system lives in your gut, and if it's inflamed, then your whole body is. So a couple of tips would be to add like soothing gut healing foods like bone broth, cooked veggies, fermented foods can be a really big one. And I'm trying to focus on adding more of those to my diet as well. And also working with a practitioner to do like a gut cleanse parasite thing. So I have somebody, she's actually been interviewed on this podcast, who does, like the parasite cleanses. And that's basically one of the things that I'm focusing on, going through that protocol at the moment. And also focusing on things like really high strains of probiotics. So I'm currently taking actually two different probiotic things at the moment that I think are really helping too. So, there's also a lot of other gut healing type things out there. I can link some resources to you for you to check out, but just to think about that. Then the other reason that your autoimmune condition may not be healing is that you're not sleeping enough or not deeply enough. So sleep is your body's time to detox, repair cells, and re-regulate hormones. Poor sleep is going to equal more inflammation. So a couple of other questions for you to think about and answer for yourself is, are you staying up late scrolling on the computer? Is your mind racing when your head hits the pillow? Are you really stressed out? Are you getting at least 7 hours of good, high quality, adequate sleep each and every night? And if you're not really sure, I recommend some kind of a tracker. So I use an Aura ring, and those of you, if you are watching the video version, you can actually see it on my finger. I'm showing it to people. You can research it. I actually did a solo episode back when I first started this podcast all about the Aura ring, actually, and the benefits of that. But there's different ways to just track it and build a calming sleep routine with things like magnesium supplements, some essential oils like lavender and marjoram, and be screen free and wind down for at least 30 minutes before you go to bed, and you'll find that can make a big difference too. So then the next reason that you may not be healing is that you're doing too much too fast. So I see this all the time. You get motivated, let's go, let's give up everything all at once. And that is definitely not the way to do things. And if you have paid any attention to a lot of my guest interviews, a lot of them all told you that that is what they may have tried and what they then crashed and burned and realized that that was not the way to do things. So, you don't want to all in 1 week try a new diet, try daily workouts, detox protocols, and 15 supplements, and then you crash. And you need to realize that healing takes time, and it's all about those little small shifts. So you want to start by focusing on one thing at a time. And personally, I am going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate here and say that I don't recommend doing something, like I mentioned, I'm doing the parasite cleanse right now. I don't necessarily think that that's the first thing that a lot of people should go out and do, but you have to kind of know yourself, work with somebody, with a professional to help you out with that. That's something I can help you with an evaluation, help you determine what I think some of your first action steps should be. But you just got to know yourself and go a little bit slowly and not just do everything all at once. Okay, and then the next reason, and this is the last reason I'm going to talk about, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the most important, is that you don't really believe that full healing is possible. And if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. So this might sting a little, but if you've just kind of resigned yourself to just getting by, your body's listening and your subconscious beliefs matter. So I want you to start speaking life over your body. Use affirmations, visualize your healed self, journal your wins, even the tiniest ones, and realize that you are not broken. You are not stuck. You are not designed to struggle forever. And your current autoimmune condition or whatever label you've been given is just that. It's just a label and it's a temporary thing. And you definitely can get over it. But you do have to believe that you can get over it and believe that healing from autoimmune disease is possible. I've seen it. I've started to live it. I've still struggle a little bit sometimes. I'm not 100% healed, but I'm starting to get there. And you must approach it holistically with body, mind, and spirit. And those are, again, I've got a couple different episodes out there on body, mind, and spirit as well. And so just some of the thoughts that I had that I wanted to share with you today about why you may be struggling, why your autoimmune condition may not be healing, even though you feel like you've done a lot of different things and you're thinking, what? I've tried anything and everything. How come I just can't get better? So those are my thoughts for today.